Hey everybody, welcome. Nice to see you all. I am Georgina Donahue. I'm the Director of Community here at Pragmatic Institute. Today I am joined by Clark Smith, who is one of our illustrious instructors. We've got a really special treat for you all today with the launch of Pragmatic Alumni Community's latest tool, the Pragmatic AI Compass. We are giving you an inside look at really the impact of this tool and the different ways that you can use it through all the different phases of your product journey. Really nice to see a bunch of community members with us. We also have some special guests. This is a community event, but we're opening it up to others who want to come in and take a poke around as well. So nice to see you all. As people are coming in, please tell me in the chat an icebreaker question. What is your most time-consuming part of your product work that you'd really love for a tool like AI Compass to help you streamline? You can pop those answers down in the chat below. That's the best place to have conversation while Clark is going to walk us through this demonstration and share his best practices with us. If you've got questions that you specifically would like Clark to answer for you, we're going to do a QA at the end, and you can put those in the QA box. It's the best place for that to go. But in the meantime, tell me, what's the most time-consuming part of your work that you would really love AI Compass to help you streamline? Clark, you can pop us on over to the next slide. And I will let everybody know in the meantime that this session is being recorded. So if you want to share it with someone or you are frantically trying to take notes, no worries. We're going to record it. We're going to automatically send it to you as well. So recorded, and it will be sent to you in the next coming days. So housekeeping out of the way. Welcome, everyone. Most of you are already very familiar with Pragmatic's alumni community as members yourselves, but to our very special guests who have been invited in today, Pragmatic's alumni community is a space that is all about sharing and exchanging real-world insights. So we do that through resources and connections, and AI Compass is one of the many tools that we offer to support folks to really elevate their product practice, get the outcomes that they're looking for faster and more efficiently. So welcome, really excited to have you. As I said, we're talking about Pragmatic AI Compass today. For those of you who haven't trained with Clark already, shout out if you've trained with Clark. He brings over 20 years of experience to the product space. He's got extensive expertise with leading product initiatives across a lot of different industries. So he's got a tremendous amount of background and stories and examples to share on how his approaches have worked in the real world. And he always brings those forward with our students and with our alum on events like this. So thanks so much for joining us, Clark. Really fun to have you here today. I am going to send it over to you. You can further introduce yourself and kick us off.
All right. Thanks so much, Georgina. Again, welcome everybody. I'm seeing some of your kind of feedback in the chat already. Again, if you've got questions as we go through this, if you've got things you'd like to see, or just kind of anything that you're thinking about Compass as we go, please ask those questions. I'll try to keep an eye on both the chat and the Q&A box, but again, put those questions in the Q&A if you would. It's a little easier to actually sort through them there. But again, what I'm really going to do is kind of start off. I'm going to walk you through sort of the thinking that went into Compass, give you a little bit of background so you understand what the tool is designed to do, and then we'll dig in and actually just walk through a couple of examples that actually fit some of the things that folks have shared as some of the more time-consuming things that you deal with day in and day out. So let me just start here. Let me give you a little bit of a sense of just kind of what this thing is. And so what we really tried to do, because we have an incredible kind of library of tools and resources that are part of the Pragmatic alumni community, things that you have access to, but actually had Georgina look it up for me. There are 687 different documents, everything from the tools and templates we introduce in our courses to articles to ebooks that are available on the Pragmatic alumni community. And we wanted to give you a tool that would make it easy for you as you're trying to apply all of the different things that we do to some of those real world challenges that, maybe after taking a course, you're trying to get a head start on creating personas. You're just time crunched and need to put together an initial draft of a positioning document or something like that. And so we always talk about personas. We talk about buyer personas and user personas a lot. AI tools have a persona. And so one of the things that we went through lots and lots of testing with was trying to create a persona for Compass that would be helpful for all of you. Now, I used Dolly to create an image here. Apparently, Compass's persona looks like maybe a 35-year-old version of Harry Potter. But, that's what I got from Dolly. But this is really the instructions that we have given it. So Compass is a pragmatic AI assistant that's supposed to serve as a librarian and research assistant for people who have taken our courses. And the role is to help all of you, anybody who's taken our courses, navigate all the tools from the alumni community, and then also to try to help you apply those tools. Now, we did intentionally limit Compass to the information in the pack and even to a subset of information in the pack. And I'll talk about that in just a minute, but that's really important for you to know. And I'll explain why here in 2 slides. But first of all, this is what's going on behind the scenes. So in addition to that persona, we've actually indexed about 80% of the content on the alumni community. So there are 552 items of just over 3 million words of content that we used to actually train Compass, and we will continue to update this. So this is where we are as of today. Now, the reason that it's not 100% of those documents is because some of those documents are things that Pragmatic alumni have shared. Maybe it's an example of a launch plan or an example of a persona that you created. We did not include any of those documents training Compass. So it's only using our content. We didn't want anything that somebody had shared to be helpful to end up as part of the Compass training library. And so things that Compass knows all the content from our courses. We use course slides and transcripts. We also used things from instructor notes so that it's got not just the course slides and transcripts, but also definitions and even some examples that we use in our courses. We also trained it on all of the different course tools, templates, and supplemental documents, the ones that we share in our courses, and then the supporting documents that are available on the alumni community to help you apply those things. We also loaded in transcripts from the podcasts and webinars, from our previous product chats, design chats. So those have been used to train Compass. And we also used articles from the pack, things we've created recently, articles from the Pragmatic Marketer magazine going back to 2020. We've loaded our ebooks in there, and then also some of our course overviews. So that if you have a question about a course you're thinking about taking or want to know what's covered in a course you haven't taken yet, it can tell you about that as well. Now, we made some intentional choices there. Want to be really clear up front. There are some things it doesn't know. So we did not load any content from the discussion threads in the alumni community. So none of the questions, answers, documents that are shared in the pack have been used to train this. It's just our content. We also haven't loaded anything from course questions, Q&A from our courses. So this is purely alumni community content. Now, there are some other things that Compass doesn't know, unfortunately, because we limited Compass's training to that library of materials. So, for example, Compass does not know that Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce. It's missing out on that important, maybe more importantly to me, it also doesn't know that the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl again this year. And because of that, it doesn't know anything about your company, your product, or competitors' products or product plans that you don't share with it. Now, we did that on purpose because we didn't want to have people sharing things in Compass that might be proprietary that would be used to then potentially train ChatGPT. And so in order to make that work, we have isolated it from OpenAI and ChatGPT. It doesn't have access to the internet. It doesn't share any information with OpenAI or ChatGPT. It is not used to train any of those tools. And so it's really important for you to know that so that you can ask it questions about your buyers, and there's no chance that somebody else is going to be able to see that information. I don't know, Chuck, maybe if we loaded enough information in, we could make that work. Chuck says, can it project whether or not the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl again? But again, a couple other things that we've done to keep this safe for you. We disabled uploads. We don't want anybody uploading any proprietary information about your product. We don't want to be responsible for storing that information. We wanted to make sure that we kept all of your information safe so that none of it was being used to train ChatGPT. A couple other things. You can reference specific pragmatic tools and templates. As a matter of fact, you should. So to get the best results, and I'll show you some examples here in a few minutes, but you can ask it to help fill out a specific pragmatic template for you. And then whenever possible, it's going to actually show you a link to the documents, the tools, and the templates that it uses to respond to your query. Now, I say whenever possible, because, for example, it will show you that it used a course transcript. It won't let you link to a course transcript. It'll show you that it used slides from a course that you may not have taken. It won't let you download slides from a course that you haven't taken and get those by asking Compass a question. But if there's an article that it uses, a transcript from a podcast it uses, a specific template that it uses to answer your question, you will be able to see those things. And if it is something that's broadly available on the alumni community, you'll be able to download that. So it's going to make it easy for you to find those helpful tools. And then as of today, the last training date for Compass was 9/23, so just a couple of days ago. It's up to date with all of the product chats and all of the other articles we've got up through 9/23. We will continue to add things to it monthly. One last thing to keep in mind, and this is not just true with Compass, this is true with any AI tool. As you think about where this fits into, how you might use it, even into how you do your job, whether you're talking about Compass or you're going directly to ChatGPT or you're using some other AI tool, you should always treat the output of these tools as a first draft. So you shouldn't take something that comes out of Compass, despite the fact we've done our best effort to train it to give you really good answers. You should never take this and assume that it's something that you should be ready to share with somebody else. Use it as a way to create an initial draft, verify what it tells you, make sure that the positioning statements it creates are relevant, look for buzzwords, all of those things. It's really helpful you'll see how quickly it can get you a draft of a persona as we walk through some examples. But again, be really careful about that. Treat it always as a first draft, not as a final product. Question in the chat from Jesse, can it reference specific resources? Jesse, it will always reference the resources it's using, and if possible, you'll be able to link to them. All right. So enough of that. Now, actually, I am starting on the Compass page, but just to be really clear, let me show you how you get here. When you log into the alumni community, we've rearranged the menus here, and you'll see that there's a menu option in the top bar here that says resources. If you want to try out Compass, you can click on resources and go to AI Compass. It's the second box down on that page. That'll take you to this page. And so we've got some additional information here, a few examples of the kinds of questions that you can ask it. And I'm just going to walk through a few examples. I will confess, so that you don't have to watch me type, which is always fun. I'm going to copy and paste some of these things so that you don't have to watch me and how terrible I am at typing. But let's just say really simply, you take a course, you take the focus course, and you talked about the strategy matrix in the course, but you're interested in really getting into the details. So what's the pragmatic strategy matrix and how do I use it is the kind of question that you can ask to actually just get information on something you heard about or that we talked about in class. And so here, what it's going to do is it's going to give you an overview of the tool. It's going to walk you through the details of the strategy matrix, in this example, definitions of rows and columns, and then it explains how to use it. And one of the things that we tried to do when we trained the tool was to really encourage it to not just give you an answer, but to also tell you how to get the answer for yourself, how to take the strategy matrix and use it. Now, I did that in English. We know we've got lots of folks who take our courses in Europe and other parts of the world. So let's say you're from France and you want to ask it that same question. One of the cool things about Compass is that it can answer these questions in just about any language. So there it is, pretty much the same answer in French. And so that's a pretty simple one. Yes, question in the chat. Can you ask Compass to ask you clarifying questions? If it doesn't know the answer or if it needs additional information, one of the things that we included in this training was to ask for more details. Now, there are going to be times when it's just going to say, I can't answer that question, particularly if you ask it a question that's completely outside of its knowledge base. But if it needs more information, it should ask you for additional details. Now, the other thing you'll notice, I asked those questions about the strategy matrix. And so down here is where it shows you the resources that it used to answer your question. And so in this particular example, this says strategy matrix with definitions. And I can click on that, and that shows me that tool. So that is a clickable document. Now, again, not every document that it uses is going to be clickable, but if it's something that's broadly available in the community, it will actually link you to that document. In this case, it's the template for the strategy matrix with the definitions of the rows and columns. Again, if you got questions, keep asking them. So let's go a little bit deeper. That's great. So we looked up the strategy matrix. We got some definitions. We did that in English and French. But let's say we want to go a little bit deeper. Let's say maybe we're thinking about a new product idea. And so, again, maybe we've decided that we think that there's an opportunity in the market to build a better sales management tool. And so let me just copy this and drop it in here. The question that I wrote says, we're building a new product to help manage the sales process and pipeline at large companies, making it easier for large sales teams to track leads, access sales support materials, and stay up to date on deal status, while giving sales directors and management better visibility into the overall sales pipeline. I'm going to start by trying to come up with some names. So you'll see here, I say, give me 5 good names for this product after I explain what the product is. Let's see what it comes up with. All right, we've got Acme Sales Pipeline Manager, Acme Deal Tracker, Acme Sales Excellence, Acme Sales Navigator, Acme Pipeline Visibility. Now, maybe I don't think any of those are very good. And so I want something that's more creative. Give me 10 more that are more creative. Okay, so can't answer the question about being more creative. Let's say, give me 10 more names that don't include Acme. All right, I got some better ones here. Pipeline Pro, Sales Flow Navigator, Lead Master, Sales Sync, Pipeline Insight, Deal Vision, Sales Pulse, Lead Link, Pipeline 360. So again, it's given me some decent names in the chat. Acme Salesforce. Yeah, that'd be a great one. All right, we're going to go with Lead Master. Let's say we like the name Lead Master. And so I'm going to say, I like the name Lead Master. We'll use that for now. What are the 5 most important, and I can't spell, problems it will solve for sales reps? Let's see what it comes up with. Based on the information in my knowledge base, here's what we've got for Lead Master. Centralization of information. Sales reps struggle with status requests and reports, losing valuable time. Pipeline management. Managing a pipeline of opportunities from lead to close can be challenging. Lead Master will help track their products, pricing, key contacts. Lead tracking and management. Sales process automation. Activity and calendar management. And so now it's actually getting into some of the things that we would use if we were going to start to build a positioning document for Lead Master. So again, the process we walk through when we do positioning is we identify those problems, and then we create what are called problem-oriented capabilities. So I'm going to say create a problem-oriented capability for each of those problems. And so now it's taking that problem and actually describing what the ideal result would be. And so I've got, for that first one, unified sales dashboard, pipeline tracker, track all aspects of the sales pipeline, including products, pricing, key contacts, and competition, ensuring sales reps have all necessary information to manage deals effectively. And so that's actually filled out the first 2 columns on the process we go through to create a positioning document. But let's say I have some questions now, not so much about the product, but about who the buyer might be. So I'm going to say, use the Pragmatic buyer persona template to create a buyer persona for Lead Tracker. And so it's telling me that the buyer persona primarily is going to be the economic buyer. Emily Johnson, she's the VP of sales in the technology space. She reports to the chief revenue officer, gives us a little bit of demographic information about someone like Emily. And this is literally taking the fields from our buyer persona template and filling them out using the best information it has. So we're getting now into some more information. And again, particularly if you're in a situation where you maybe are trying to create some initial personas if you don't have buyer personas and user personas today. And it's easier for you to start with something that you can validate rather than trying to go out and start with a blank piece of paper and go talk to 20 of your potential customers. This is a great way to get that first draft, so that instead of you having to start with a blank piece of paper, you start with something that you can validate or disprove. This may not be exactly right, but this is a great way to have something on paper rather than you having to just start with a blank template. Now, let's say I'm not too sure. Maybe I want to do some of my own discovery to validate this. And so I'm going to say, what are some questions I could ask to better understand the needs of this buyer persona? And so now it's going to give me some questions that if I have a chance to talk to somebody who might be a potential buyer, that I could actually ask when I get to have those conversations. Now I've got some more questions for it. Maybe trying to figure out, is that the only person I need to talk to? And so for a product like this, who else might play an important role in the purchase process? Should we build multiple buyer personas for those roles? So I'm kind of asking it two questions. Who are they? And do we need a buyer persona for those different folks? And so now here it's kind of telling me some people who might be important for us to understand. So technical evaluator, so that we understand, who's the gatekeeper of technical requirements. Are there other people that we need to think about? And then it tells me, yeah, you need to build multiple buyer personas for these roles because each persona has different needs. Question in the chat. If you haven't taken a class, assuming Compass is not accessible, that is correct. So you have to be an alum, which means you have to have taken one of our courses. And obviously, once you have access to this, you have access to a lot of our course content. If you are planning on taking a class, as soon as you register, you'll get access to this. All right. So we understand a little bit about our buyers. So let's say we want to actually complete a positioning document for that main buyer persona. And so I'm going to say create a positioning document for the main buyer persona, the VP of sales. And so now it's going to go through and actually build an entire positioning document for the VP of sales. And so you'll see we're going to put the name of our product there, VP of sales in whatever industry you're talking to. There's a problem in the industry today where sales teams struggle to align their selling processes with market needs, leading to missed opportunities and inefficient sales cycles. The VP of sales faces challenges in ensuring that the sales team is equipped with the right market knowledge and tools to effectively engage with potential buyers. Comment in the chat about a layout issue. So we'll make a note of that. Thanks for actually trying that. I don't think we've even tried it on an iPhone yet. Describes the ideal solution. The ideal solution to this problem is a comprehensive sales enablement platform that provides real-time market insights, buyer personas, and tailored sales strategies. This platform should empower the sales team to understand and address the specific needs of their prospects, streamline the sales process, and ultimately close more deals. Now, really good example here. We're getting pretty good answers, but something like real-time market insights, pretty buzzwordy. That's one of those things that, again, you probably really don't want something like that. We don't want to commit to delivering real-time market insights because that's a pretty significant technical commitment. So it's a great example of something, even just with a quick glance, you look at that and say, yeah, we need to maybe rework this a little bit, take out some of the buzzwords and maybe not get so quickly to those individual product features. And then here's our positioning statement, our elevator pitch. Empower your sales team with the insights and tools they need to close more deals and drive revenue growth. And then we've got our product description. It's a sales enablement platform designed to align your sales process with market needs, providing real-time insights. There's that buzzword again, buyer personas and tailored sales strategies. And then down below, it's got those problem-oriented capabilities. Comment in the chat as ChatGPT user. We snap on our own custom GPT. You know, we haven't really thought about that, Chuck, but it's certainly something we could talk about. So, yeah, that's an interesting thought. We should definitely talk about that. All right, let's keep going here. So I got my positioning document, but maybe I need to go a little bit deeper because I got to start also thinking about messaging. You know, how am I going to actually talk to this person? How do I translate that internal positioning document into some messaging? And here I'm going to reference a specific template, the Pragmatic Messaging Matrix. And it's going to create that initial message matrix, identify key themes, some headlines, our elevator pitch, and some additional keywords. Those are all things that we can now provide to our creative folks, to our marketing team, to make sure that we can really connect with this persona as we start thinking about how we're going to talk to them. Now, that's great. We spent a lot of time talking about the buyer persona, but also remember those are the folks that we're going to be selling to. We also have to maybe make sure that we better understand those user personas. And so I'm going to tell if the user for this product would be a sales rep and a sales manager, how would I create user personas for those different roles? And so again, what we've tried to really build into its persona is trying to help you understand how to do it, and then it will do it for you. And so now I'm starting to really get into some of both buyer personas and user personas. Now, again, because it has limited access, it's using only the Pragmatic library. Obviously, if you wanted to really get into understanding sales reps and their needs, you would probably want to go to ChatGPT or go validate this by talking to some actual sales reps to make sure that this is right, because it's not going to be able to give you, for example, really good demographic details because it doesn't have access to the entire internet. And it also, because it doesn't have access to the entire internet, couldn't tell you, for example, who are the companies that we would be competing against. Now, a couple more things. Maybe in addition to thinking about how I better understand these personas, maybe I want to also think about those win-loss interviews. So what are the kinds of things I should ask if I get to talk to somebody who bought from a competitor? Because maybe that'll help us identify some potential gaps. And so, again, it's walking through good examples here of win-loss questions, trying to figure out what made them start shopping for a solution like ours. How did they think about, identifying different potential solutions? What kind of information was most helpful in the decision-making process? What point did they ask for pricing information, or they go to somebody's website and ask to talk to a sales rep or ask for pricing? And so I'm getting pretty deep on how we're going to tackle this product. Now, maybe I also haven't really figured out pricing. And so I'm just going to say, what resources do you have to help me price this product? And so now it's going to walk through a whole bunch of the tools that we have available for pricing. It's going to talk about some of the key considerations, help walk you through that process. And then this is another great example where down below, it's showing me which tools it's using. Turns out there is an entire issue of the Pragmatic Marketer magazine that I can download, where I can download individual articles, or I can get the transcript from a pricing chat. So it's showing me all of those tools as well, so that, again, now I can really start to dig into how do I want to tackle this. Now, again, that's all pretty good stuff, but I want to just reiterate, there are things that it cannot help you with. So let's say I am a product manager at Ford, and I'm the product manager for the Ford Mustang, the new Mustang Mach-E. If I say create a positioning statement, it's going to tell me how to do it. But again, it's lacking most of the information it needs to really do a good job. It's pulling some very generic information here. Now, if I want to actually create one, I could easily go to it and give it some additional information. Like I could say, stealing some information from Ford's website, using all of this information, create a positioning statement for the Mustang Mach-E. And so now it can actually, instead of giving me a bunch of generic information, it can actually create a pretty good example. And so, again, in that situation, if you're asking it a question about your product, if you've got more information about your buyers and you want it to help you create a better buyer persona, take the information you've got, you can paste it in here and say, use that information to create a better buyer persona for me. Again, we are not going to store that information, but it's going to help you get a better answer than the one you get if you ask it that question about something where it's just going to kind of generically put together a bunch of words. So again, in the chat or the Q&A, whichever is easier for you folks, are there other things you'd like to see? What would you like to see us try to have it do? And again, there may be some things you can't do. So I don't want to pretend like it can do everything, but if anybody's got an example of something that you want it to try to do, share it in the Q&A or share it in the chat. I'm happy to try some stuff on the fly. We'll probably see some stuff that works great and some other things that don't work very well, but again, that's one of the things that you're going to find with any AI tool.
Clark, I got a private question from someone who wants to know about really kind of improving their prompts, as well as, how do you, if you run into a roadblock with AI Compass and it's not really giving the answer that you were intending to get, do you start all over? Do you kind of wipe the session and have a new conversation, or do you start to tweak your prompts? Do you have any kind of general best practices and tips for that?
Yeah, a couple of things to know. As you'll see, and as you kind of see here, it's remembering this entire conversation. And so it is really good if you say, I don't like that answer. Can you give me a more concise positioning statement? It will continue to refine that. So if it's heading in the right direction, but you just need a better answer, just like we encourage folks to do, give it some more context and ask it to improve its answer. Now, if it goes in the wrong direction entirely and you just want it to forget the entire conversation and start over, the great thing about AI is you can just go up here, click start a new conversation, and it'll forget everything it's done and you can start over. And so there might be a time, when you start having it do something, and I've had this happen lots, where it just kind of heads off in the wrong direction. And if you get to that point and you're frustrated with the results you're getting, I'd go back and start over. Now, on the other hand, if it's pretty good, but maybe I'm thinking that positioning statement is too long, I can say, create a shorter positioning statement for the mock-E. And so now it's pretty much cut it in half. And so it will continue to refine those answers. If it's in the same conversation thread, you don't have to give it information multiple times. It's going to remember that conversation, but that does sometimes lead to it remembering previous answers that you didn't like. And so sometimes, you will get to a point where you're like, okay, I just need to go back and start over.
Awesome. Really helpful. Thank you very much, Clark. All right, I am going to leave a minute for maybe one more question if folks want to get their Q&A in, if you're curious about anything. If not, if you feel like this has been a really great primer for you, I encourage you to hop into the community and just try it. Start playing with it. Clark is always available in Pragmatic's alumni community, so get in there and play with it. If you've got a question for him, just mention him in one of the discussion threads, and you guys can continue the conversation there and kind of chew through different approaches for how you can use it. And we always welcome feedback as well. This is a growing iterative tool that is designed for you. So your feedback is really essential as it continues to grow. So keep adding a couple questions in there. We've got time for one more.
I see your question. Can I attach my own docs? So right now we are not letting folks upload documents. You can paste the contents of a document into it and use that as the basis for your discussion. But one of the things we made a decision to do, at least for now, is not letting folks upload documents, just honestly because of the risk of storing those documents and potentially having that information end up someplace where we don't want it. So we're working through some questions around security and how we make sure that if we do allow people to upload things, they're erased and are completely secure. But for now, we've disabled uploads. Again, you can paste it into the conversation if you want it to use that as the basis for the conversation. And then when you go start a new conversation, that gets erased completely.
Yeah, good clarification. Thank you. Good question. And thank you very much, Clark. All right, folks, we will see you in the community. If you're not an alum yet, I am excited for you to become one. And as soon as you register for your first course, you will automatically get access to this too. So as Clark said, our next webinar upcoming is a fun one as well that I'll tell you about before we close out and say goodbye. We are going to host a session on October 30th. It will be at 1 p.m. as our sessions typically are. It is a joint conversation with Pragmatic and AHA Software, well known for their road mapping tools. We're going to walk through how you can customize your workflows inside your AHA Software instance to bring forward and implement the pragmatic principles that you learned in class. So everyone can really stay in sync and use all of the power-packed tools that you have invested in. So it'll be a really fun one, collaborative. We love the team over at AHA. And so we hope that you join us, whether you use their software or not. It'll be incredibly illuminating. So thank you so much, Clark, for joining us, and everyone on the line. Hope to hang out with you in the community soon.
Check it out.